Today's video is an in-depth guide on how to use the Phrygian dominant scale. Enjoy! How's it going? Dave here. My channel's all about helping you make really awesome neo-soul and R&B sounds on your guitar. So if you're new here and that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you're notified every single time I release a new video. So today's video is all about the Phrygian dominant scale. So what you're going to learn is what the Phrygian dominant scale is, how to play the Phrygian dominant scale, and also where and how to use it in your playing. So first of all, let's talk about what the Phrygian dominant scale is. So the Phrygian dominant scale is the fifth mode of the harmonic minor scale. Sometimes it's called the Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13 scale, but more frequently it's known as the Phrygian dominant scale. The Phrygian dominant scale consists of a root, flat second, a third, fourth, fifth, flat sixth, and flat seventh. So it's just like a Phrygian scale, but we've got a major third in there. So if we take a look at the root, the third, the fifth, and the flat seventh, if you put them together into a chord, we get a dominant seventh chord, which means that you can play this scale over dominant seventh chords. But more on that later. Let's take a look at how to play the scale, and then we'll take a look at how to use the scale. So we're going to use a root note of A just for learning the scale. First of all, we're going to play 5, 6, 9 on the low E string. Then 5, 7, 8 on the A string. Then 5, 7, 8 on the D string. Then we're going to play 6, 7, 9 on the G string. Then we're going to play 6, 8, 10 on the B string. And then we're going to play 6, 9, 10 on the high E string. Now to play it with the root note on the fifth string, let's take a look at this shape. So we're going to play 12, 13, 16 on the A string. Then we're going to play 12, 14, 15 on the D string. Then we're going to play 12, 14, 15 on the G string. Then we're going to play 14, 15, 17 on the B string. And then 13, 15, 17 on the high E. So now that you know how to play the scale, let's take a look at where we're going to use the scale. So as I said, we can play this over dominant seventh chords. Now a dominant seventh chord naturally occurs as the fifth chord in your key. So for example, if we're playing in the key of C, then the fifth is G, and we could play a G dominant seventh chord. Over the G dominant seventh chord, we could play a G Phrygian dominant scale. So that's what I've done in this first example. I'm playing a 2-5-1 progression. So I'm playing a D minor 9, then I'm playing a G7, and then I'm playing a C major. So over the D minor 9 and the C major, we can just play the C major scale, but over this G7, we can play the G Phrygian dominant scale. So take a listen. Now, the Phrygian dominant scale doesn't just work over diatonic dominant seventh chords. We could also play the Phrygian dominant scale over secondary dominant chords. Let's take a look at how that works. So what I've got here is a very quick progression. We're playing C, and then we're playing E7, which is not in the key of C, but it's a secondary dominant to A minor. Okay, so C, E7, A minor. Okay, over C and A minor, we are playing the C major scale, and then over E7, we are playing the E Phrygian dominant scale. So take a listen. Now, earlier in the video, I said that this scale is sometimes known as the Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13 scale. This is because that flat 9 and flat 13, otherwise known as the flat second and the flat sixth in our scale, give the scale its unique, exotic sound. So what we can do is we can take a dominant seventh chord and we can add a flat 9 to it, or we can add a flat 13 to it, and that will just enhance the sound of our Phrygian dominant scale and make the chord progression underneath it sound a bit jazzier. So let's take a look at how to play some dominant 7 flat 9 chords and dominant 7 flat 13 chords. So for a dominant 7 flat 9 chord, we could play this. So we're going to play 5 on the low E string, we're going to bar the 5th fret, Then we're going to skip the A string. We're going to play the 5th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string, and 6th fret of the high E string. Now, if you wanted to play an A7 flat 9 on the A string, we could play 12, 11, 12, 11. And I'm barring that 11th fret with my index finger. So that's how you play a dominant 7 flat 9 chord. Let's take a look at how to play a dominant 7 flat 13 chord. What we're going to do is play with the root of A again, and we're going to play 5 on the low E, skip the A string, play 5 on the D string, and then play 6 on the B and G strings. Now that is a dominant 7 flat 13 chord. And now to play it with the root note on the A string, we're going to play 12 on the A, skip the D string, play 12 on the G, 14 on the B, and 13 on the high E. So these chords, the dominant 7 flat 9 and the dominant 7 flat 13, are known as altered chords. I've done a video on altered chords. There's more depths we can go to with altered chords, so if you want to check that out, check the video there. But let's continue. We can replace any dominant 7th chord with one of these altered dominant chords. Let's do that now. So we're going to take that same 2-5-1 we used at the start, which is D minor, then G7. Instead of G7, I'm going to play a G7 flat 13 chord, and then C major. Alright, so the same thing applies. Over the D minor and the C major, we're going to play the C major scale. But over this G dominant 7 flat 13, we're going to play the G Phrygian dominant scale. Let's take a listen. And for the final example in the video, I took the second progression we used in this video, which was the C, then E7 and A minor. And instead of playing E7, I played an E7 flat 9 altered chord. So in the context of the progression, it sounds like this. So over the C major and A minor chords, I played the C major scale. And over the E7 flat 9 chord, I played the E Phrygian dominant scale. So take a listen to that. Okay, so that's how you use the Phrygian dominant scale. So you can use it over your 5 chord in your key, which is a dominant 7th chord. You can use it over secondary dominant chords. And then if you add a flat 9 or a flat 13 to your dominant 7th chords, you can play the Phrygian dominant scale over those as well. So I hope that you found it useful. If you did, make sure you click the like button and let me know what you thought in the comments. I've decided to brighten up my room a little bit. Do you prefer this to the darker kind of vibe? Let me know. I'm still kind of undecided about that. And if you're looking for more ideas for neo soul scales to spice up your playing, check out this video. And I'll see you there.